Complimentary of your mic. Okay, I'd like to call our meeting to order. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll report out on executive session. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic stand one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make note that the emergency exits are located to the side and the rear of the auditorium.
Testing. Okay, there we go. Prior to our open session, we had an executive session. And during the executive session, we took two votes. One to approve the minutes from our prior executive session. That might not be such a bad thing. Okay. There you go. And then the second vote was a vote related to the privacy of students and their records related to homeschooling. Other than that, it was just an update and discussions on some on the matters issued on our agenda. I'd like to move forward because I see we have our children here and we're going to get a great presentation from SAD. But the first order of business is to approve our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the minutes from the regular session on September 13th, 2022, general fund bills, IDEA Part B grant special ed for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $88,935.47. General fund bills, IDEA categorical funding, STEM and special education for fiscal year 23 in the amount of $398,521.71. General fund and grant fiscal year 23 in the amount of $9,933.26. General fund IDEA special education in the amount of $32,442.05.
Second,
Are there any discussion issues?
Just observation. I notice a lot of office supplies seem to be documented. Again, the transparency of this new system, everything's very clear. I'm just wondering, I don't know if I can ask, but I will. I'm just wondering if all of the supplies, all the classrooms have their supplies, are there bills outstanding? I know we're in supply chain issues. I'm just wondering, I see office supplies, but I'm wondering about all the others.
I don't know of any issues specifically with not getting items that are needed. I do know that there has been an influx of purchases because now everyone is getting a little more familiar with the Tyler system. So that may be why you're seeing more supplies.
And,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
and I also think it's the beginning of school.
Mhm,
And so what you're seeing is the bills from the office supplies for the start of school.
mhm.
So you're seeing a lot more. We just need to be sure that that the budgets that are in the buildings are being spent, in a way that it's giving the teachers what they need as far as office supplies and so on.
Yep, I think that was
I
the
know that-
gist of my question.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, there's been, because of the conversion, there's been some delays in some of the billing, but I'm hoping that that's going to go away in the next 4 weeks.
So I will reach out to the principals tomorrow and ask them at the secondary level to reach out to the department heads to ensure that they are getting the items that they need. and I'll get a report back from the elementary principal. So I'll
So-
get a status report on that.
Not to jump too far off, but just to jump on piggyback with what Mary was saying, how are we with the new financial system as far as, I know there was it was a big lift getting it in. Where are we with department heads, principals, whomever needing?
That's going to be a report out from Stephanie. She's going to talk specifically about the new FMIS system as well as,
I just want to make sure everyone knows how to use it. I
Yeah,
think
it's part of the presentation that they're giving.
perfect.
Okay. Unfortunately, we're going to table the recognition of Maggie Stormont. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Unfortunately, we're going to table the recognition of Maggie Stormont, our Teacher of the Year. I'd like to put that on the next agenda item. I mean, you know, she's risen up to the top, and I think it's important for us to, you know, continue to try to recognize her. So let's try to get her back here, hopefully in November. Yeah, and put it on the agenda for then. Our next agenda item is the SAD presentation. So I will turn it over to our students and let them take it away.
Hello, my name is Mia Piccolo, and I am the Vice President of the Situate High School SAD Club. I am here with the members of the SAD Club and Vasa Club who would like to introduce themselves now.
My name is Rachel Petrantazzi. My name's Riley Benedict Smith. My name is Torrance Demers. My name is Caitlin Mitchell.
My name is Maura Pendergast.
And my name is Aria Kritikos.
And we are here tonight to advise you on the upcoming calendar events that we have for this coming year. Students Against Destructive Decisions is a club welcome to all students at Situate High School. We work together to promote and educate the ideas of safe and good decision-making, along with teaching the community about safe decision-making. We use our platform to express the risks of poor decision-making. Our message is accomplished through events and fundraisers that we hold at the school and participate in.
Varsity Athletes Against Substance Abuse, or VASA, is a club consisting of Situate High School varsity athletes. Us athletes pledge to remain alcohol and drug-free, and we pledge to serve as role models within the community, especially for the younger generations. We all have reasons to abstain from using, and we also want to speak to student groups on the importance of remaining alcohol and drug-free. We want to dispel the myth that athletes use and abuse substances. Over the summer, a group of us attended the Youth Driven Summit. It was from August 2nd to the 4th, and it was an overnight program at Bryant University. 100 students across Rhode Island attended, and Situate was represented by 15 students. At the summit, we developed leadership skills, we networked with other school districts, learned components of traffic safety like the dangers of speeding or distracted driving or impaired driving, and we focused on substance abuse prevention strategies. And at the summit, we created our action plan for this year. And next, you'll see some photos from our Youth Driven Summit, where I had a presentation about last year's action plan. We had a presentation of Think Fast, where a group came in and it was a fun interactive activity based on traffic safety. And then we had someone teach us some mental health exercises, which included breathing, drawing, and different things like art and other techniques.
All right, before our action plan, we were able at Youth Driven to develop our calendar of events. Our upcoming events will focus on the topics following: traffic safety, positive decision-making, prevention of substance abuse. We have different events planned for each month of this year. In the month of September, we have been able to participate in the MAD Victim Adoption Program. This year, we will be honoring Eliza DeAngelis. So far, we have been able to send greeting cards and are working on a mural outside the cafeteria. We have also decorated rocks for a rock garden to spread positivity.
The first thing we do during the month of October is the red pumpkin painting. We've done this in the past for several years now, And SAD will host red pumpkin painting around Halloween. Anyone can come and paint a red pumpkin. And the reasoning behind it is that it raises awareness about drunk driving on and around Halloween, which happens to be one of the deadliest DUI holidays. Painting a pumpkin red and displaying it on your front steps is a great way of reminding people to make good decisions on and around Halloween. The second thing is Red Ribbon Week. During Red Ribbon Week, buildings can display red lights or light up red. And this year we want to try to do that with the school. During this week, we also have students sign a pledge to remain drug-free, and we make and display red ribbon pins for our backpacks. And then there's the work in progress presentation, which is given by Rebecca White, who runs the Youth Driven Summit. She showed it to us there, and it was a really awesome presentation. She talks about the ups and downs of her own life and how everyone is a work in progress. The presentation is really beneficial for people who are struggling. I know October, especially for seniors, can be like a really stressful month. So we think it would be a really great message for students during this time.
During the month of November, the SAD Club hosts a school-wide dodgeball tournament to inform the community on our victim that we are assigned through the MAD-RI victim adoption program. Students are allowed to form a dodgeball team and participate while simultaneously being educated on the risks of dangerous decisions and safe alternative to those actions. This event is a great way to bring the community together and spread our message.
For the month of December, our club will be holding a holiday-themed fundraiser. The purpose of the event will be to boost the holiday spirit while promoting SAD Club ideals and raising money for future fundraisers hosted by us. For the next part of the month, we'll be working in partnership with the local police department in their annual toy drive. We'll be hosting a holiday movie night and be incorporating the toy drive to help increase the number of participants while bringing more unity to our school during the event. Our action plan for the month of January is to take advantage of the opioid awareness resources our wonderful Miss Coria has gotten for us. With little to no information known about opioids in young adults, we feel as though this presentation will be very beneficial for our school community. The presentation will be given to the entire school in hopes to benefit everyone's health and wellness. This presentation will be done by Dan Neal. For the month of February, we'll be carrying on what SAD Club did last year, doing Sticker Shock at Scituate Liquor Store and other businesses in town. Sticker Shock is where we will place underage drinking awareness stickers on items in the stores. This will help the SAD Club send and spread our message townwide. Next, we'll be taking advantage of the free Think Fast assembly funded by the Rhode Island Department of Transportation that you've seen in the picture. This assembly is very interactive and loved by students, as we received very positive feedback from the years before when it was presented. This assembly will help educate students on distracted driving, impaired driving, and other important parts of road safety. Lastly, to finish the month, we'll be posting positive Post-it notes around the building to lift others up in our school community.
It's okay to get behind the wheel if you've only had a few drinks, right? Wrong. This is just an example of common myths people believe about driving under the influence. During Mythbuster Week in March, we raise awareness and provide students with the facts. We make posters to hang in the hallways and spread facts over the loudspeaker over the morning announcements every day. April is Distracted Driving Month. This is a huge problem with people our age. I know personally I've seen way too many Snapchats from behind the wheel of a car, and we really want to focus on spreading awareness of distracted driving. So throughout the whole month of April, we want to focus on distracted driving. And part of this is the Chalk the Walk fundraiser. And it's a fundraiser where students can pay to have a square of sidewalk outside the school, and then they can decorate it with prevention messages using sidewalk chalk. And Mocktail is a program that we did last year that ties in with the victim adoption program. And you design a drink that honors the victim that you were chosen to adopt. Last year, our victim Samantha enjoyed skiing and camping. So we made a sports-themed drink for her, and we decorated our booth with a ski slope. We came in first place in this event. This event was amazing because it brought so many people together to honor the victims of drunk driving crashes.
During the month of May, we're planning on handing out prom cards to the students attending our prom to promote making safe decisions and remaining substance-free. We would ask the middle school students to write these prom cards, and we believe that these cards definitely made a huge impact last year. We are also planning a Wellness and Prevention Awareness Day. This day will include half of a school day out of regular classes to prioritize the mental health of students. We realize that it may be unique to take students away from some of their classes for half a day, but we are confident in the importance and benefit of a mental health day. In the grand scheme of things, we believe that emotional wellness is far more important than a singular math or English class. This day will consist of several round-robin rotating workshops, such as talking, art, breathing, yoga, and finally a rollover crash simulation. These workshops will teach students about healthy coping techniques to deal with feelings of anxiety, stress, or depression. The rollover crash simulation will demonstrate to students the importance of wearing a seatbelt and practicing safe driving. When we attended the Youth Driven Summit this summer, we participated in a rotating workshop activity just like this. We were able to take a break from our busy schedule to practice meditation, draw and color, do yoga, and talk about our feelings. These workshops were very helpful to us, and we think that they would be just as helpful to the rest of our high school. At the summit, guest speakers and professionals attended to run the workshop and share their knowledge and coping techniques with us. We would like you to know that we are hoping to ask some of these individuals to attend our mental health day to help us run the workshops. We are both passionate and confident in our plan. Mental health awareness needs to be prioritized in schools and communities, and this is a major step in an important direction.
So we want the support of the school committee. So this is us asking you to pass a verbal resolution of support at tonight's meeting. We want you to verbally commit to attending at least one of our events. And we also want you to commit to working with our group to positively impact our community and schools. We want everyone within our schools to be on the same page about substance abuse. We will have expectations created over time in order to protect our students, our student climate, and school culture, and reduce the use of alcohol and drugs. We want to be able to request the superintendent and principals to assist us when possible. This is the time for questions.
I commit. I commit. I'll be the first to say it. Your presentation was remarkable. I have so many things to say, but I'm going to keep it as concise as I possibly can. So the fact that you guys all at the youth summit? One of the things, and I've mentioned this at a previous meeting, is that we're one of the smallest districts in the state, and we had the greatest participation in the Youth Driven Summit. I think it's remarkable. I am remiss that I haven't yet sent an email out to the organizers of that event. What I've seen, you ladies, and it was all ladies, I believe. I know there were gentlemen there, but our school were, you ladies attended that summit, and it's very obvious you're back here, boots on the ground, making things happen. So kudos to you. That's what it's all about. I know it was very inspiring. A shout out to Officer or Sergeant Parenti too for being there with the kids. Yep. If I had my way, there would have been a picture of him dancing up there, but I figured I could get arrested or something like that. So I didn't do it, but very proud of all of you and what leadership, and for you 15 to come back and to be able to embrace this and send the message back. This is what it's all about, right? My last piece is, and I could be mistaken, but I believe the membership wasn't always as high as this. Is that correct? And was there one member that really strung through before? Is it Riley so Riley, thank you. So yeah. Yep. You made things happen, and it's obvious you have seniors with you, you have juniors. This is going to be something that's moving forward. SAD and FAFSA together. What a powerful, powerful thing. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I also will resolve to say that I will strongly support this club. I can see the risk and protective factors strongly at work with this group. Your protective factors, it may seem to an average eye that having a movie night is just a movie night, but it's not just a movie night, is it? It's a protective factor. The more connected you are to your community, the less likely you are to make bad decisions. The more connected you are to your community, the more likely you are to do better in school. And the list goes on and on. So these are protective factors, which we all know Sergeant Parenti is well versed in. I also commend you for taking all that time off from your summer vacation to go to Bryant University. It is a lot of work and it's a big commitment. And I enjoyed meeting you all there for 20 minutes, whatever time you had off, that's all you had available. School climate is a very important thing. School culture is a very important thing. And for you to be the foundation of that speaks volumes. For us adults to try and make school climate and school culture work, it comes much better from you. It really does. You're the pulse of this school, and you're backed by the teachers. The one thing I wanted to ask you was this rock garden. How does that work?
So basically, our SAD club spent last Thursday's period 9 putting positive messages on a bunch of little rocks. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them outside of the school where people can see them. And as people walk by and come into school, they'll be able to look at the messages on the rocks and just hopefully put a smile on somebody's face.
Perfect. When you had said the VASA Club to expel the myth of athletes using substances, this is positive social norms at its core. If a majority of the students in the school think that athletes all use substances, you know, the big proverbial all, the more likely they are to use substances. And you know that. So by dispelling that myth, you're letting not just the athletes, which is a lot of students in the school do a sport, right? So you're hitting a large percentage of the students in the school. But you're also telling all the other students here that it's not right, it's not true. Athletes don't all use substances. Therefore, if I were an athlete and I'm thinking, geez, maybe I want to go to a party and maybe I want to drink tonight. And if I say to myself, but most athletes aren't doing that, I'm less likely to do it. So that's a very important thing that you're doing, and a very important message that you're spreading in the school. And I want to thank you for that. I don't think I have any other questions. Oh, the red out. I know that the Citrus Prevention Partnership is doing a red out in town and you're doing red ribbon. Are you a part at all of the town-wide red out? Are you like going to make the school red?
So we were talking to Mr. Hassel about that today, and I believe he's working on getting approval for that, if I'm correct. So hopefully we'll be able to light the school up red, but we will see how that goes. We're going to try to be a part of that.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
There we go. Just a couple of things. Yes, I'm happy to commit. Thank you for allowing us to preview the PowerPoint. I was able to look at it earlier today, so I had some time to fully appreciate all of your work and all of Sergeant Parenti's work. But I kind of have got to change my glasses. My question is, what about summer? Because I know you address school culture and school climate, but like to Erica's point, you know, with athletes, it goes through, they train through the summer. Unfortunately, I have had to attend funerals of students who during the summer made an unfortunate decision. And so my wonder is, I look at you folks and I see this font of amassed knowledge relative to substance abuse and mental health. And I'm wondering how to, if you could consider how to extend some of your work through the summer months, because these problems don't go away during the summer. And in fact, sometimes without the support of your school friends, it's easy to make those unfortunate decisions. And I see you girls as this reservoir of knowledge that maybe the recreation department could tap into, the town libraries could tap into, coaches in town could tap into. I just want to plant a seed. You don't need to respond. I just want you to maybe consider that. But thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you.
You know, I can commit. I definitely will commit. The biggest thing is this is all great work that you're doing. But the most simple thing is communication, because you're going to hear about parties that are going to take place on the weekends, just like Mary and Erica has spoken about. The most simplest thing is to communicate with the police department and let them know the police department are not always the bad person. The police departments are there to help. And a lot of times these students are having parties at their houses and their parents are not home. And the biggest thing is communicate, and they can stop the party and some type of tragedy that could occur after. That is the most important thing. These are all great things that you're going to do, but the most important thing is to communicate and stop the negative activity before it happens. And I know you girls will, you're outstanding students, and whatever you need from us, that we're here to help.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming. Thank you, Sergeant Parente, for doing such wonderful work with our kids. Yes, like everyone else, you've got my commitment as well. I just hope that we can get prompted as to when the events are, so we can make sure that we're there. And it's important work. And you're having an impact, you could save lives, and that's a big deal. And what I loved about the presentation and what you're doing is that you've got something in front of the students all year. I think Mary's right. Think bigger. Think about how you can expand into, other networks or other, other places in our community to keep it going even beyond our schools and over the summer. But congratulations to all of you, and thank you for coming and sharing this. And thank you for pulling us in, because you got us all on your side now and all committed. So thank you again. Next agenda item is an update on Manning Field. I'm hoping that we have some good news. We certainly talk about fields a lot around here with the last year. So Jason, are you coming up to give us some update? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm only going to give you a brief update, and if you'd like to look at my phone, you can, because I sent my drone up to take pictures of Manning Field. And if, I don't recommend it, but if you wanted to go play on the baseball field right now, there is no water on it. And it's been raining for many, many days. So I do want to just say that we do need like another week and a half for the sod that is growing right at the from the outfield to the infield. But this is the perfect time for sod, so we're not going to have any trouble.
So the big issue when we were talking about the fields is not fixing them, it was maintaining them. And so how are we going to ensure that, in the spring, we're not going to have puddles again? And I know that we've hired someone just to really just put effort into maintaining the fields there. So is there a plan for that? Is there some kind of a plan that can be presented to the school committee so we have assurances that, because we just invested another, what was it, 24,000?
It actually is less than that, because we did not.
Fantastic.
It's going to be considerably less than that, because we didn't put the clay back. We put the same infield mix that the softball field has.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. Okay.
I am one.
So
And that's fields is much easier to maintain, and it's had a lot less problems. So that's great.
It was heartbreaking for me to have the baseball team looking over at the softball team playing and they were sitting in puddles.
Not
So
as
I-
much as the parents were heartbroken. So,
I agree.
so at some point, Jay, maybe you could just explain to us what is the long-term maintenance plan for the field? I know we had to order a rake or buy a rake. Do we need that now?
I do not think that we need anything other than what we've been doing for softball. And obviously, we're gonna need the leagues that use it to, rake it when they're done and stuff like that, but it requires minimal dragging, all of that. It's just the
One
same.
thing I wanted to just think about is when we met with the town council president, Abby Groves, she had asked whether or not we would be able to maintain the fields over the summer, because usually we turn the care and the control of of the school fields over to recreation. And in light of us having someone that knows the fields, will be caring for the fields, has that been resolved at all? Are we going to be committed? Because at the end of the day, if they're not cared for in July and August, or we're coming back in August, they're going to start using them again. So it doesn't make sense to me. And I'd like to use that as part of our, our way of saying to the town, we got this. What do you think?
I haven't been here long enough to see it, but I'm very willing to say that with our new groundskeeper and with the fields in the condition that we now have them in, that we will continue to, I mean, we're not going to line them. We're not going to, but we
No,
will
but-
have them so that they can be played on all summer long.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Jay, anytime, go ahead. Anybody else have any?
I know how we're looking with the soccer field.
I think that the soccer field looks very well, very, very good. Again, I took a picture of that too. And,
Is the sod holding up?
yep, it is.
Awesome. And it's all the holes are filled and everything's good. Okay.
We're working with the coaches and I've actually asked
Well, we'll
the,
see in public comment if we have anybody to come up and talk about. the
yeah,
field.
and
So, okay, Jay, excellent work. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Thanks. Good job. The next agenda item is our report from the superintendent. So Laurie, go ahead and take that.
So you have my report in your packet, but so I won't read line by line for you, but I'm gonna tell you tonight a little bit about our E-rate award. We have been awarded $152,850 of E-rate funds, and those funds go to support technology. With those funds, we will be ordering staff computers for a total of 120 devices, and student Chromebooks for a total of 300 devices. 100 will go to grade 6, 100 to grade 9, and the rest will be distributed amongst the elementary schools. The student machines will all be fully reimbursable, so there's a net zero cost to the district. The staff machines, because they are more costly, there is a cost of $220 per unit. That is funded through local funds to support those E-rate funds. An audit update, the finance department from the town, the school department, and the auditors met with the Auditor General and his staff to discuss the current audit and the progress. I think we can all agree that fiscal integrity of our district is one of the most important priorities. I've been working diligently to establish an FMIS system that will ensure that we have transparency and integrity in our processes and procedures. Stephanie and Karen, the town finance director, have established a great working relationship, which will ensure consistency and transparency. All of us are in agreement that we're making good progress with the auditing process, and the auditors should have everything that they need from the district within the next few weeks. So the town and the school can complete the audit by the end of the year, if not sooner. This annual audit will be on the Auditor General's website, as are all of the previous audits. that have been completed for Situate. It's important to note that the purpose of the audit is to ensure that all our funds are accounted for and spent appropriately. I know Jay just spoke to you about Manning Field, but I'm telling you, I couldn't be happier about grass and dirt than I am about the way Manning Field looks and the soccer field. I've gone by 3 times in the last 2 days because it's been raining. And typically when it's raining, I start to shake because my phone starts to ring because Manning Field is full of puddles. There were lots of people on the field today. There were no puddles. The infield is holding its integrity. The soccer field looks very good. So I'm thrilled with the work that's going on down there. I know that Jay and the new groundskeeper, bless you, will continue to make that area a priority. I want to thank the Boosters Club for the work that they've done down there at that complex. I think the buildings look very nice. The dugouts have all been painted. They worked on the picnic tables. I think it's really a very inviting place for kids and families to go to. So I'm pleased with what we've been able to do down at Manning Field. Cato update, as was requested by the school committee at the last meeting. An update has been sent out to all parents, students, and community members regarding Cato Field. As I get additional information that I am able to share, I will continue to communicate that to all of our constituents. We had our first district strategic planning meeting last week. We have another one tomorrow evening. There were some probing questions that the group was asked to share. So some of you may have a friend who asks you some probing questions. Please feel free to give us some feedback because we will incorporate that feedback into the final product. And as the product is developed, we have 2 more meetings. They'll both be virtual. We will have a final district strategic plan that when completed will be presented in total to the school committee. And that's my report for this evening.
Any questions for our superintendent? Okay, thank you, Lori. On the E-rate, sorry, I had to step away. I
Yep.
did have one question. So that award, from what I understand, is going to give us 2 cohorts of iPads for our students, right? And then it's going to be able to give our administrators and our educators each a new laptop. Is that what it said?
They are the adults, the teachers are getting
In every school?
laptops. There are the breakdown that I've gotten from Mr. Rambacher is that there will be 30 staff machines going to the high school, 21 to the middle school, 20 for Clayville, 25 for Hope, and 24 for North Situate, for a total of 120 devices. And he has the exact breakdown as to where all those machines are going.
Okay.
So can I jump on that too, Karen? So the E-rate, is this something that we receive yearly? Is this a one and done? Tell us what this is and how. And my second piece to that question is obviously there was a large influx of computers into this district due to COVID, through monies that weren't locally appropriated.
Right.
Where is our plan? Like, where are we?
I've asked Mr. Rambacher to develop a replenishment plan so we know exactly what needs to be replenished and what the timeline is for that, so that it's staggered, because we certainly know that the district can't financially afford to replace everything all at the same time.
Where are we with, because we're like, is it like 4 years and they're done with them? So you have a child that goes.
They roll.
So, but once so we're using devices that are over 4 years old now.
We could be.
Okay, and yeah, okay.
We could be. That's why I've asked for the plan, the
Yep.
replenishment plan from Tom, so we can see exactly where we have what and what needs to be replaced, what the life of the machines are.
And the E-rate piece?
And the E-rate, that is federal funds. It comes out, I don't know if it's
That's
in,
a single grant though, one time.
Yeah, but there's 23 E-rate money now that's just come out also, so, I know that we have gotten E-rate money in the past, that's been used, to purchase technology in the district, so,
If you don't mind, since I ran the program.
yeah.
So E-rate provides internet services to every school district in the state at a significantly discounted price. And so we apply for it every year and we get, those services are then rendered and they usually go out to bid. And I think Cox Communications is the provider across the whole state for all of the internet services, which is again reimbursed by E-rate. And then this grant actually was an E-rate grant that was part of, that was put out there as a result of COVID. And so, but E-rate takes a long time to actually award anything. So we finally got the award. And so, I was told that when I inquired about it, I was told that, we're going to get like a whole cohort of computers replaced for the students or laptops replaced, tablets replaced, I'm sorry. And that we will also be able to give a boost to the administrators and the teachers and give them some new computers. So hopefully if there is another grant out there that's kind of separate from the internet services.
Yeah, these machines are going directly to teachers, not to administrators.
Oh, really? Okay,
So
that's
just to clarify, so, and I've heard E-rate before, we've talked
Yeah.
about it, and that's
Mhm.
probably an annual,
It's an annual application that goes in.
right, which could go to our internet service providers so that the money's coming back. This, however, is
A
a kind of,
separate E-rate grant that was issued
Specific-
by the federal
got it.
government. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lori. The next agenda item is the report from the Director of Finance, Administration and Finance. So Stephanie.
We are at that time of year. We are working in 3 different fiscal years, the FY22 audit, the FY23 budget to actuals, and FY24 budgeting processes. It is an incredibly busy time. I would like to provide an update on the audit. I know that Lori touched on it a little bit. I would like to clear up some questions, especially those that were raised at the last school committee meeting. We are currently working on the state required routine annual audit, and over the next couple of weeks, we will be providing the auditors with the final documentation they requested so that the audit can be completed prior to the end of the year. There is also documentation needed from the state that they are waiting on in order to complete this audit. I just want to be sure that everyone understands that this is a yearly audit and not a forensic audit. It's a very transparent process and all audits are available on the town website. We have done extensive work to transition from the previous FMIS system to our new Tyler system, which is making this year's audit process much better than last year. In fact, we're light years ahead of where we were last year at this time. The Tyler FMIS system is fully operational and is not only helping with our audit process, but is also providing accurate reporting for the current year. Most importantly, for the first time, our annual budget will be built right into the system by each of our principals because each of our schools are now using it. Principals have had full access and control of their budgets in accordance with Rhode Island general laws and are entering their purchases directly into the system. This is a significant efficiency since all requests are no longer going to the central office for processing. This has been a change for our staff, and we will continue to support them with training and assistance until everyone is comfortable with the system. We are planning on offering next month a Tyler training refresher to all staff that participated in our initial 3-day training and want more, or were unable to attend our initial training. Expenditures and revenues are on target for FY23. Our goal is to provide a detailed budget to actual second quarter report for expenses through 9/30/2022 at the November meeting. This report will be used as the district's starting point for our FY24 budgeting processes. I will remind the committee that this year the town is moving to a new fiscal year that will begin on July 1st, which will require us to prepare a 15-month budget. I want to reassure the community that the information that you are hearing regarding missing funds and excessive surpluses are not correct. The audit and our closeout report will demonstrate that we're on budget and our projections are correct. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you how incredibly hard the administrative staff at the main office is working. especially as we assimilate key new staff while finalizing the implementation of the FMIS system. It's unfortunate that some false statements are being made because I couldn't be prouder of the central office's hard work. As the finance director, a mother of a second grader in the district, and a taxpayer, I am committed to transparency for all fiscal aspects of this district.
Stephanie?
So I know you spoke about 3 budget years. I can't even balance one checkbook in this year. So
It's crazy.
just
this
kidding,
time
Kev.
of year.
The training for the, and I get there's a lot going on. Like this is, so when we talk about the training for Tyler and a refresher course, is there anyone that can offer that? Like when we bought this product, are there people that can, like, I'm trying to see, are there people that can help do this besides you and your limited staff?
There are.
I guess, I just want to make sure people are, change is difficult for all of us, right? And this is a complete new system, and I get we're going to be light years ahead once this is fully implemented. I think everyone's job, and to speak of transparency, when you can click a button and see this is where the money is, you couldn't ask for more. So I just didn't know if there were other resources that we could be used, so it's not necessarily taxing you and your limited.
We could definitely get someone from Tyler to come back in and do a training session. I believe we have a few more days available.
Okay,
That's correct.
I'm just, and I don't want to step on toes. I just want to make sure.
And there is a help desk number that was provided. We also have, Jen has created a beautiful area that everyone can go to see workflows. I don't know about anyone else, but I need a step-by-step process or I'm lost. So she kind of went through and thought of some of the things that, you know, people would need to know or might get confused on, and she put a step-by-step process on all those. She's also done a wonderful job of, you know, taking a phone call when she's in the midst of something and triaging someone on the phone. We've offered for anybody to come in at any point so that we can work with them in person or to go to them. We're also planning that refresher in a month. We're really trying to be as available as we can, even though it's been so incredibly
Yeah,
busy.
no, I get, yeah.
One of the things that I know, this system is in the majority, I mean, the almost all districts and charter schools, the Tyler system. But one thing that I know that the system has capabilities of is when the department head or the staff is entering and ordering something in WB Mason or Amazon, that order automatically interfaces with Tyler and automatically populates it. So at some point when we get on our feet, let's make sure that we find those efficiencies so we don't have staff entering their request in Amazon or WB and then have to enter it into the system, because there is a way that it talks to one another. And I know other school districts have figured that out, and we can get them in and see if they can show us how they did it. So we can also find that efficiency as well.
When we initially rolled out Tyler, I did spend an incredible amount of time trying to get that to initiate with our start of Tyler. It is something that I am going to need to work with tech on, and a little bit of a Tyler consultant as well. It's a little bit above my technology ability.
Maybe when you get to work with one fiscal year
Yes.
instead of 3 right now, you
no.
can stop.
And
focusing
again, we
on
keep
that.
saying like, can you do this, but can you do this? Please don't think it's that. I just think we all see the capabilities of what
It
can
does.
be there.
It
and
It can
how
do
much-
so much.
Yeah.
And I want to remind the committee that going through a financial conversion of a system with all of the data is so hard. And so this district went from Phoenix to a conversion of e-finance, which was monumental, only to find out that the system that was selected didn't support the required state accounting structure. So then we had to convert to another system, which is Tyler. So the conversion just didn't happen once, it's happened twice. So, you know, and I know that we've been talking about the FMIS system and getting it into the schools. So we're finally there, and it's growing pains. We get it, but hopefully it will work. And again, I just want to put a shout out to Stephanie and also Jen Carnival. I see you back there. I think you have found your niche in life. You love, you're doing such a good job, and not only in supporting the staff, but also with the fiscal work. So congratulations, Jen. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is public comment. So if you'd like to make a comment, please come up and state your name and your address.
Hello, Maureen Kennedy, 10, do I sound funny? Because it sounds funny.
You're on.
No, it sounds funny. 10 North Doctors Lane, Hope, Rhode Island. I'm not here to waste your audience's time by rehashing last month's school committee meeting. If anybody has any questions about what our concerns and issues are, the meeting is posted on YouTube. Unfortunately, much like Cato Field, there's been zero progress since our last school committee meeting. At our last negotiations meeting on September 19th, we reached an impasse. Negotiations have become so contentious that the STA's negotiating team was left with no choice but to file for mediation on September 28th. I'm hopeful that mediation will move us forward. But in the meantime, I'd like to invite each of our school committee members to shadow one of our teachers for a day. Understandably, you're not familiar with the day-to-day operations of our schools, and maybe that's what's causing some of the delays. So we welcome you to spend a day in the life of one of our teachers. You'll need to prepare yourself for a long day, as our teachers' days do not begin nor do they end with their students. I'd like it if you'd contact me. I can make all the arrangements to make it happen. And I just want to remind you to wear your sneakers when you come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Amaro, 117 Trimtown, just a couple of questions. How much did we spend for the water line and sprinklers at Hope? Seeing it's the third month trying to ask that question.
Are you talking about what we discussed at the
Fire
building,
suppression system, Paul?
Yes.
We talked about
water
that
line and the,
at the building committee meeting? I'll get that information to you. when
no,
we
you
meet.
said you were going on the audit.
I think it's approximate, but we can get you the actual number, but I think it was like $565,000, of which I believe the town has offered to support $169,000 of it.
That
But
was for paving.
but that's approximately what it was.
Okay, who was project manager for Cato?
Say
Well,
that-
who had the ultimate say on when it was finished?
When it was finished?
Yeah, from Red. No, when it was finished. When the
Cato.
field was finished, who signed off on it?
I think there was a certificate of completion that was processed as a result of, working with all of the vendors,
Who
the
did that? Who
installers.
did that?
I
School,
think the
Rye?
district, I think the district would that be the director of facilities here that was on our side.
Scarretti,
Yes,
which is no longer here, right?
yes, but he hasn't gone away forever. We can get in touch with him.
The thing I thought of today, the plans I have, which 4 different people agreed that the water's supposed to go out the overflow. I don't know. I thought of it today. If Gail changed the plans after we had them. That might be you want to look into.
Okay.
Because that's a rubber membrane. Water doesn't go through rubber membranes. But anyways, I asked you for a meeting with the lawyer.
Mhm.
Don't know if I'm gonna get one.
Yep.
But I just don't wanna, I don't believe in mediation. Because if you lose or whatever, what's plan B? And don't say arbitration because arbitration's binding.
I'm not sure I understand that question or that statement. So you're referring to Cato Field and the
Yes.
process that's going on right now.
Yes.
So if I can say this, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, mediation is mandatory. So,
Before arbitration,
excuse me?
before arbitration.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's how
So
the
it-
contracts are
We have
written.
filed both jointly. So I'm not sure what you're saying about meeting with an attorney.
No, I asked to meet with Mr. Anderson.
What
So the school, so something isn't forgotten. Because all the time in the last 3 years that I asked questions, I never been said why I was wrong or if I was wrong. Every single
Paul-
question.
Well,
Yes,
it's not true because you know that we valued you.
I
We put you
never-
on the
I
building
ne- yeah, but
committee because
everything-
you have a lot of expertise and information to offer. You've been helpful with some of the
What I'm
questions
saying
that
is
you've
the
asked about,
questions
Cato,
I
and I do,
asked,
and you said that you had some
nobody
more.
told me I was wrong in any of the questions I asked. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but nobody told me I'm
I
wrong.
think you're up to 695 questions right now.
No,
but-
it's 693.
So, and again, Paul, I know you've been very vocal in all of this and have every right to do so as a taxpayer, so as far as to be able to tell you if you're right or wrong, we're in the process of mediation right now. We're in the process of, getting to the bottom of what the problem is. I don't think anyone has those answers, and I don't know that any information you want to provide us, of course, which you've done over the years, we'll take every bit of information. But to say that we're gonna have our attorney sit down, our attorney can tell you nothing. You can provide
I
all,
just want to ask questions or tell
no,
him
I-
questions.
but it's not, again, I'm just being, with all due
It's
respect.
Carolyn, this is why I told you last spring to put the building committee back in. So these questions
Well,
would have
Paul,
been
it
asked.
doesn't make a difference. Mr. Griglovich is the chair of the building committee right now. Am I
And you know
correct?
what? As chairman,
and
he
he's not
just
privy-
wants to have a meeting and leave.
Okay, but let me.
No, that's not what we're talking about, Paul. So
Paul, I just want to let you know that I haven't had a chance to talk to John, but John, as you know, that Paul has made some suggestions that actually have been helpful to us. And so I'd like I will make arrangements for you to have a phone call and ask, he's got some things for us to think about as well related to Cato Field. And yeah, I don't know why you're mad, Paul. I mean, I've tried to bring you to the table. We can't have a meeting to discuss something that we're not allowed to talk about. So I don't know. So we'll get there once we get through the mediation process.
Hi, good evening. Al Duran, 12 Jackson Flat Road, Hope, Rhode Island. I didn't quite get what the hourly rate was for the law firm that you hired. Was there an hourly rate?
John?
which law firm are you referring to?
You got Kelly Palmenter Souza.
295.
How much?
$2.95 an hour.
$2.95 an hour?
Yeah.
That's a bargain compared to what the town council's paying this
Keep in
contract.
mind, Mr. Duran, too, that we're going to try to recoup all the costs associated with this. So hopefully.
Okay, so I understand that part and I applaud your efforts. But was there any kind of meeting before mediation with the other parties to maybe try to iron this thing out? And now you have to go to mediation, obviously arbitrations after that, which you're probably going to end up because I've been to mediation. You get nowhere. Yeah, I mean, you're just throwing money after lawyers right now for mediation. I don't understand why it's required. Maybe because there's federal and state money involved in this whole operation that you have to have is it a federal mediator?
No, it is not a federal mediator. It's required because it was in the contract that both the architect and the contractor signed with the school department
The only thing I
back
can,
in 2017.
not to cut you off, John, but Mr. Duran, I also know that, it's mediation, and anytime you walk into mediation, there are additional costs. But I think it is a much more efficient process than us going through the courts. That could last for years and years, and it could cost hundreds of thousands of
We know,
dollars.
we know that.
Yeah,
I
right.
see it happen in town council with the police station. Believe me, I'm still going down that road. So you didn't have any, you had meetings prior to going to mediation, correct?
Without going into the details, we have.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you. Could
Sure,
you
without going into the details, we have certainly attempted to try to resolve this prior to going to mediation.
Right.
And the other thing I just wanted to say was, you understand that Kelly Palmenter was the same attorney that the former town council president used. And I don't know what happened with that, but I don't know how you picked this law firm. Was there an RFP that went out for the law firm?
Mhm.
Or did someone just pick it?
No, no, no.
I
was-
made the recommendation to the school committee because we needed somebody with an expertise in construction law. And Mr. Parmenter is regarded as one of the best construction lawyers here in the state of Rhode Island.
So there was an RFP?
There was not an RFP.
There was
You-
no
nor is
RFP.
one- Nor is one required.
Yeah, it's not required by state law to for legal services. And Mr. Duran, and the reason for that is not just for this case, is to really expedite the process because you can't, sometimes RFPs can take a while. So that's why, you don't need one for legal services.
So what was the selection process for this law firm? I mean,
So I just want to clarify, and if I may, we did not select, my understanding is when we took the lead from our attorney, we did not select a law firm. We selected an attorney that specialized particularly in construction law. So while his name may be part of that firm, and I don't know who did work for previous councils or who didn't, and I don't, this had nothing to do with us selecting that firm. This has to do with a person who has expertise in a particular part of law that obviously counsel to school department not necessarily would have. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, yes and no, because like now of all the attorneys in the state of Rhode Island and that can practice, and those that can practice in the state of Rhode Island, this is the only attorney that has those credentials.
If you would like to look for an independent source, lawyers on an annual basis essentially rank each other. Results of those are published in Rhode Island Monthly Magazine in terms of who the best lawyers are in Rhode Island. Mr. Parmenter was identified as one of the best construction lawyers in Rhode Island, which is why I made the recommendation to the school committee that he be hired.
Okay, so, and then my last item I have is, I got the email from Lori Andrews, okay, superintendent. And so the first sentence said, I would like to take the opportunity to update you on the current status of Cato Field and what the school committee is doing to protect your investment for years to come. I think that last part of the sentence should have been, that's putting a cart before the horse, should have been done prior to this field being artificial turf. I know hindsight is 20/20, and it should have been regular grass where you can see it and everything, but I'm sure there's underlying issues here with this field with sinkholes, et cetera, et cetera. You don't know when it's going to happen again, but I question that last part of that first sentence. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
Mr.
it.
Duran, can I just speak to that just for a moment regarding, and you bring up a great point, and I think we said, Monday morning quarterback, hindsight's 20/20, we all get that, right? I was part of this committee when it was brought forth that what type of field should we put in? And the council, who is a committee who's not necessarily the committee now, with different people at that end and there was so much back and forth that they investigated. We had studies done. And truth be told, the committee at one point was going forth with natural turf, not artificial. And where we came to was the fact that at the time we were told, and again, hindsight's 20/20, we did not have the water to support putting a natural turf field in. That was the bottom line. We changed. We went, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to go. So again, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and I get that, but I please understand that there was a great deal of due diligence. We actually even investigated alternate sites throughout the town to try and place a field. There was a lot that was put into the decision to have the field and to have it be a synthetic turf field.
I get that, but now it's turned into a really big expense. And when I read that sentence about investment for the future, in other words, so how much money have you spent?
We spent taxpayer dollars to build that field.
I understand that, but how much money you're gonna spend for legal fees? And if you do not win this case, what's the plan of attack for going forward? You're gonna roll it up, dig it up, and do it properly like it should have been done in the beginning? Or are we just gonna plant flowers around it and say, that really looks pretty?
No.
Just visit it on
We're
Sundays.
gonna have to go back to the drawing board, but we're hopeful that we'll have a positive result from the mediation and all of our costs will be covered. But we'll have to address Plan B if it doesn't come to fruition on what our ultimate goal will be.
So the mediation, basically, you're hoping that RAD will have to come back and repair everything that's wrong with it?
Our hope is that
And no cost to the town?
At this point, we're getting into what our strategy is, and I don't want to have a discussion on cable television as to what our legal strategy is.
I'm not asking for your strategy. I'm just looking going forward. Like, in other words, you either win or lose this thing. If you lose it, what's going to be the cost to repair the field? There's got to be, somebody's got to know the number, whatever it may be. 2
Yeah.
million, 3 million, 4 million, I don't know.
And again, I'm not going to get into a discussion of our legal strategy on cable television.
Well, what did it cost to build the field right now? 4 million, 399, 380, something like that? 3.8? The
2.8 million.
2.8 million?
Mhm.
So to retrofit that, it may be double that number.
So I think the only answer I think that we can provide to you, and I hope it satisfies, is that we taxpayer dollars paid for a field for our students in our community to use. This committee is committed to making have that field be safe and open for all of our students and our community. That's what we need to make happen. So can I put dollars and cents on that right now? No, I can't, nor will we, but that's the goal. This isn't just kick it down the road. This is we need a field that is safe and we can open it.
So do you think that'll be ready for next year?
We have no idea yet.
So that's what I'm saying. So here we go further down the road as they
But
say.
there are steps that we're taking that we have to go through mediation. We have to go to arbitration. We're taking these steps to do it. And it needs to be open, but
And
it
it's
needs to be
binding
safe.
arbitration.
So you say, so basically you're saying that by the end of November that you have this mediation. And when after that, you're not going to go right into arbitration. You have to get on a calendar of some sort. So that could take another couple of months to do that. And then the decision comes down, let's say February, March. Now you got to make a decision to spend more money to fix it. Because I don't know if you're going to come out of this thing making any money, if you make any money, or if you're even going to get RAD to repair the damage or whatever damage is done and whatever they missed as far as the geothermal or geographic test bores and all that sort of thing. So the point I'm trying to say or to make is that it's going to get expensive going forward. We know that it's impossible not to be expensive going forward because steps weren't taken properly in the beginning to do it right. Even if you talk about you didn't have the water to feed the natural turf, I'm sure that you could have spent some money and drilled some more wells. Who knows how many wells you had to drill, but whatever the cost of 4 wells would be, say they're 30 grand a piece, that's $120,000 versus what we're going through now. And you got to roll that turf up and start all over again because you're going to have to get down to a point where you have to eliminate the sinkholes. So like I said, it's going to get very expensive. And taxpayer dollars, here we come.
I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but we'll have to see how well we do through the mediation and the binding arbitration. I think hold tight. We want to get it fixed once. We don't want to have to keep coming back and say, oh, here's another thing. We've been very careful to make sure that you know, we're following the process in a way that's protecting our interests and the taxpayers' interests, so we can get a good outcome. And as Colleen mentioned, you know, we paid for a field, we'd like the field, and we'd like the field to be safe, and we want our kids on it, and we
Well,
want what we paid for. We
hopefully-
want what we paid for.
Hopefully the town gets what they paid for
Yes.
and at minimal cost legally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comments? Anybody online? Chris?
If anyone online wants to make a comment, please hit the raise hand button at the bottom of your window.
Okay, thank you. We're moving into new business, and the first item is a discussion action vote related to the dedication of a room in memory of Mrs. Lily Zarley. This was brought to me, and I thought it was an amazing, wonderful idea. So I figured we would bring it to the committee and figure out if this is something that we can do.
So thank you for putting this on the agenda. I had asked Carolyn to do this. I'm sure, like many other people on the committee, a lot of phone calls came and saying we need to do something to honor Lil Zarley. I do have a letter that was just sent to me this afternoon. If it's not very long, I want to read it. It was written, sent to me by Bill and Donna Jaspero. It says, "Dear Situate School Committee members, we recently lost our beloved Ms. Zarley Lil to most of us who knew her. She was a backbone to North Situate Elementary for over 48 years, retiring at the age of 93 in 2017. She was officially the school secretary and later administrative assistant, but she was so much more. On days when harried parents forgot something for their child, she either supplied what was needed, notified the teacher, or calmed the parent, or all three. Missed the bus? No parent notes for bus change. Boarded the wrong bus? No problem. Mrs. Zarley to the rescue. Sick children were made to feel taken care of. Angry parents were calmed and their problems addressed promptly. Never one to anger or look bothered by any issue, large or small. Mrs. Zarley was truly the chief operating officer. When the name Mrs. Zarley is mentioned, more than 3 generations of North Situate students will smile. She was the face of our school. She was a daily reminder to all that all students, teachers, and parents are important. No one ever felt uncomfortable with Mrs. Zarley. In light of her dedication to us at North Situate Elementary, we would like to propose that the Media Center library be named the Lillian Zarley Learning Center in her honor. We do so with love and respect. Sincerely, Bill and Donna Jaspero. I wasn't sure, or I'm not aware of any process of naming rooms or fields. I know that the David Light Media Center was named after David Light, but I don't know the process for that. I know there's are fields named after
We
people.
can vote on it, I guess.
And I just wanted to bring it to the committee to see what we do, how we do, but I am just a spokesperson for the community. I feel like I should be down there as opposed to a school committee member. I'm bringing this because so many people have approached me, but I too feel that
I do
it's
too.
something that we should discuss, and I think that something should be done to honor Lil.
So my question, yeah, I'm with you. My question is, and you know, someone had mentioned the media center. Should we be inclusive with the North Situate Elementary family? Is that the most appropriate place within the building? And like just seeking feedback, those who knew Lil the best, who have worked with her, we do have some very, very tenured teachers. We have, and I know there's a lot of parents, 2 and 3 generations. Is it the media center? Is it a garden? Is
Right.
it so
Is it
I'm
memorial?
open.
Yeah.
I want it to be most reflective of, and I don't know, no offense to you, but I don't know that it's us that realize what the most appropriate space would be. Does that make
That's why,
sense?
that's why the discussion
Yeah.
is, it could be a memorial, it could be something in, who are we to decide?
Maybe,
'Cause I don't know how things have been decided in the past.
yeah, maybe the North Situate Elementary School can put a small committee together and bring their recommendations to us. Does it have to be approved, John? Does it have to be approved by the school committee? I think we
If you're
approved.
if
Mr.
you're
Lights.
permanently naming part of the facilities after somebody, that should be
Okay.
approved by the school committee.
Yeah, so
because
let's get them
It would
to,
be,
yeah, I like that
Can
idea.
Lori reach out to the principal and
Yeah.
start there? Because I
Exactly.
think that's where it begins.
and if we
then
elicit some community
input.
school feedback to say, this is what we think would be the most appropriate.
And I know we're going to get a building committee update, but there is going to be slated in that building a brand new, what is it? It's not the media center. It's a collaborative learning center. And so that, and I mean, we could name the, if it ultimately ends up that it's the media center, we just have to be cognizant that it's being slated to be something bigger and better, you know?
The one thing I was thinking about is because Lil has been around for so long, but she retired in 2017. The current community at North Situate might be less aware of who she is. I just want to make sure that the principal reaches out to the community at large, because that's where there's a lot of the memories lie as well.
And
In
maybe
case there's like
utilizing our principal to reach out to some of our most I think the school might, can we? Exactly. I think if we utilize, ask the principal to
So-
kind of build that committee with our most seniored.
My entire career. And I.
You really should come to the mic though, so the people at home can hear you. I'm
Come on
sorry.
down, yeah.
We can hear you, but they can't.
Sorry. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, Terry Gallagher. Is it echoing?
No,
You're good.
you're good, Terry.
I've been a teacher in Situate for 35 years. I've had the privilege of teaching in North Situate, Hope, the middle school, Clayville. But one of the true loves of my job are the kids and Lil Zarley.
Agreed.
Lil Zarley is an amazing human being. She has touched the lives of so many people. And even though we have a lot of newer teachers that don't know her as well, we have a lot of senior teachers who know her very well. And we would be more than willing to
Yeah.
include other teachers that have retired.
Yes,
that have
yes.
So
moved
do you
on.
think if we have our superintendent reach out to the principal, you guys are now here tonight.
Right.
You
You
know
got
it's
it.
coming.
Yeah, so
Would
you
you
know,
be
we're
able to
gonna,
get us something together and bring it back to us?
absolutely.
We want whatever is most appropriate. It's not for us to
I
decide,
loved
right?
her.
Yeah. No,
I
and not to
loved her.
reflect that, but I think it speaks most when it's coming from those that she's worked most closely with. over the years.
Absolutely. And we had a huge presence at her services and she will be remembered forever. But honestly and truly, anything we can do in her honor and we will communicate
I don't
that.
know anybody who's touched the hearts of so many people,
So
not just
many.
the children, the parents. I
So
mean,
many.
She's beloved.
Absolutely, by everybody and the community.
Yes,
Outside of
absolutely.
school, she
Yeah.
was so involved in,
The
I
Situate
think
Art
it's called
Festival.
VASA, but I
Yeah.
always called
It
it
is.
VASA, but I learned I was saying it wrong. So,
I'm sure.
but it's a great honor. Thank you for bringing it forth and we will convey the message and I know Lori will as well. But any way we can honor her would be a privilege.
That's
Excellent.
wonderful. We're all for it.
Cindy Gould, I just wanted to share as well that there is some precedence in the district. For those of you that remember Betty Angelotti, who taught in the district for many, many years, many decades. At Clayville Elementary School, the garden was named because there was a garden space between the classrooms and that.
I'm getting like, you give me the goosebumps. now,
Yes,
Cindy.
I know,
Like, yeah,
Colleen.
no,
So
yeah.
Colleen and I go way back. So there is precedence in the school to name spaces for
Okay.
people and honoring and remembering. So we'll be happy to take that on. Our principal would be happy to.
Bring it back
And
we'll be
whatever
happy
we
to
can do to
approve it.
support that, I think,
Yeah.
do we have on the agenda, do we make a motion to approve the naming of something of Lil Zarley? Like, with the,
I think after they come back with their recommendation. we
Yeah,
can
it sounds
however
like-
we want it, however
Right.
it works best.
It does
Okay.
sound like John was indicating that it would be, we could share the information with you and the options, and then you could make the choice and selection from
Hear
there.
ye, hear ye. It's gonna be one of those proclamations when we do it, right?
And we'll certainly use social media, and they'll
Yeah,
reach
well,
out to
that would
us to
be-
tell us the
We need
spaces
to,
they.
we need to
they
put
believe.
together a big dedication for her. She
Absolutely.
deserves it.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you for.
No,
bringing that
thank you
forth,
guys
Erica.
for stepping forward.
Thank you. Okay, update on the building committee. I know that we met and
Ray Gregolovich, 16 Woodland Road. Before I start my report to you, I would be remiss to say that I take considerable offense to Mr. Lavalley's assertion that I do not take the job seriously as chair. And my only reason to hold meetings is to hold meetings and get out. As chair of the committee for the last 4 years, I can tell you that I have much better things to do than to dedicate my time on this task. We take it very seriously, and it's for the betterment of the students.
I may offer my apology to you. I brought your name forward in this conversation with no intent of that to happen. It was simply to share the point that you are the chair of this committee. And if anyone was going to be privy to information that beyond the school committee, it would be the chair of a committee of which we cannot even share with you, nor have you asked us for that information. So my intent was with all due respect to you. So I apologize that that went a different route. And
if I could just add, I mean, Ray, you do such a nice job and a great job as the chair. You put together the agendas. You keep us on track, especially as it relates to the application. You're so knowledgeable. You know, you run the meeting so efficiently. So you're valued. So please don't feel badly about any comments about that happened tonight.
I just wanted it on the record. So as a recap of the meeting, we met on the 20th. Happy to report to my knowledge, everything that was an open item with respect to FY21 has been satisfactorily closed, so that we don't have any lingering items from the prior plan or fiscal year. With respect to what we met upon on the 20th, Kyle from Secosio Associates informed us, just as an FYI, that there is the possibility that several of the bonus pools are scheduled to sunset. They have to be reappropriated by the legislature. So that in mind, what we were told is as long as we had a contractor engaged prior to 12/31, then those bonus pools would be honored. So that's just something that we worked with in the back of our mind as we continued to plan. He is hopeful, as a couple of them have already been reappropriated, that the ones that have not been reappropriated will be, but we have to prepare for the possibility that they're not. So what we opted to do after much debate, in order to, again, maximize the bonus pools, especially in light of what was brought to our attention, we chose in this fiscal year just over $1 million worth of projects to work on, and that obviously took into account the $750,000 in bond money that was appropriated at the financial town meeting. So, which is why we were able to be as aggressive as we were at this meeting in allocating projects for this fiscal year. Going down the list, we were the controls that were much debated and discussed through the financial town meeting. Although we were not at the same level of critical nature as we were with Hope, it was communicated to us very strongly that we needed to upgrade the fire alarm system in North Situate Elementary. If we did not put that on our list for this fiscal year, Inspector Chevalier could mandate and cite us for being out of compliance, which would mean we would have to address it within 30 days. So we chose that as another project for us to take on to avoid the citation. And again, as we've discussed in the past, those are things that happen behind the scenes and really nobody sees. So we wanted to mix in a couple of projects that actually people will see them being done. So as many of you know, the connector, the glass fishbowl connector hallway over near the high school library, which has been leaking for a number of years and causes flooding, will be addressed in this fiscal year. And the last thing, not exactly sure what the shape of it will be, but we are tackling the media center, collaborative learning center, whatever the term of it is in the middle school, which will be a significant upgrade for the middle school as well. So those are the 4 projects that we've articulated in which Stephanie has communicated to bond counsel will be the ones that we're focusing on. So from a reimbursement standpoint. I'll take any questions that you may have on any of those projects and that really was so what Secosio will now go to the planning and drawing stage so that those can get submitted into RIDE so that we can begin on those projects and make the deadline so that those are the projects identified before the 12/31 cutoff if in fact those bonus pools are not reallocated.
Where, if at all, and first, thank you for that, Ray. Where, if at all, does the remediation, if you will, of the department chair suite come into any future plans for making sure that that is completely rid of mold? Because they keep on talking about that being, does that not fall under
So
the building committee?
Well, partly it doesn't, and I forget the teacher's name, Carolyn.
it does
Some of
or
it can
does
be
not?
maintenance versus
Right.
capital.
There
It
would-
depends on how big the problem is. It can be just a maintenance issue, Jay. I don't know whether
Yeah,
or not
we-
you.
Because of the expense, the lower
Yeah, it's a certain
expense?
threshold, that,
And we had a significant discussion about that actually at the meeting, and I forget the teacher
oh,
who
yeah,
was,
it
who was
really,
here.
she had provided some testimony
Tim
at the,
Pontarelli, the teacher that was,
yes.
Right.
I wasn't at the last meeting. but I
She
was there.
was excellent.
So
She came to the meeting.
we had a discussion, and then although the items that she articulated, and a lot of it had to do with the perceived mold, there is really no mold. They've had it tested. It has to do with the glue, to my understanding, that's seeping through the tile, and that it's really more of a maintenance issue. It's not a capital improvement plan as far as I understand.
What
Come on,
amount of
Jay.
money would it,
And Jay's getting up, but I've instructed Jay to get those tiles, get that rug up and fix those floors because
what amount of money would designate it a capital fix as opposed to maintenance?
Well, it's driven by federal law and it's usually $5,000. If anything over $5,000 and has a useful life over so many years.
Is this pretty close to $5,000?
I
I'm just
don't, I
curious.
don't know.
So as of right now, we've painted down there. We're having the rugs. There's 3 little, I don't know if you've been down there, but there's 3 little classrooms.
What school are we talking?
We're talking about the
about the high
department head suite
school.
downstairs
Oh,
at the high school.
Department chair.
Yeah. So
I'd like to see it.
we're taking,
I want to see it.
Get back to touring these buildings. Not to cut you off, Jed.
no worries.
You have a visual to go along with what should. Oh,
So I know you said you painted it, but it's.
And
in-
we're having the rugs taken out and we're putting VCT tile down. There's no reason to have rugs down there. And the last air quality test that we had was clear. It was fine. But the rugs are old. The presentation is poor.
Okay.
So it's going to look much better when the rugs are done.
What
How
is
about
the
dehu-
estimated
how about
cost
the
on that?
dehumidifier that was there that they talked about, the hose from the dehumidifier having to go down and out a door?
So the dehumidifier is still down there. It's still a basement and it gets moist down there and it's only there to help keep the moisture level down. It's just a little white hose that goes out under the door where the water goes out. I advise the custodians, we cannot run it during the day and then we'll run it as soon as they leave. So we're just gonna put a schedule up to try
Oh, so
to.
like run it at nighttime when it's not being used?
Yep.
Do you think that would address all the issues that they're having in that area?
I think that it'll make it an area that is usable. I think that it wouldn't be a horrible idea to, at some point, add it to the list of maybe building committee type projects that area could be redesigned and utilized better. I mean, it's an interesting layout. When you see it, it's just an interesting area.
Is Secotio going to be looking at that as well as part of their overall plan for programs?
I mean, we can direct them to look at that area. I know it's not,
Can you let them take
Yeah.
a look at that and give us, and so we can get at least an estimate? How much is it going to cost us just to do the work that you're doing now, Jay?
It's under $3,000.
Yeah, so it doesn't rise up.
my only concern with that area is obviously you're all pretty well acquainted with the fact that we have millions of dollars of other higher priority items such as roofs that if
Mhm.
we don't fix the roofs, we'll have a lot more
As
areas
it's
that are wet.
pouring on us right now.
So,
Well, we have a
you know,
plan
so I
for
mean,
that
so
as
we'll,
well.
I mean, we can direct them to look at
It's
it, but
nice to get it on the list so we can at least know if we can manage to it at some point, once the other stuff is done. But if you don't put it on there, it gets forgotten. And so let's at least get it up in
Right.
the radar.
And so in addition to what's being done there, Secotio is going through the exercise of doing the educational due diligence in order to inform us what the larger next 5-year capital plan should look like.
Which is
and
going
include.
to
So,
be processed, which the deadline to submit is in February, right? So we should have the letter come to us soon for stage 1.
right. So, anybody have any other questions with regard to building?
Just curious, Ray, about the middle school media center.
Mhm.
My understanding from previous discussions is that is a very important item to the development of a middle school identity, if you will, separate and apart from the high school. We do have a new middle level principal who comes with a wealth of middle school experience. And I'm wondering, he may have some ideas to contribute to the renovation design of the space that would enhance the middle school concept and build that separate identity for our middle school students.
Right, agreed, and that was actually a central theme of the discussion was creating an identity for the middle school separate from the being an adjunct to the high school. So, that definitely is in the forefront of Secotio's mind as they design that space. Certainly, it's not going to be done in a vacuum. They'll consult with the building leadership as well as Superintendent Andres. The other thing too is to keep in mind that what they are also putting into this is what 21st century learning should look like. So, I mean, we looked at we meet in the library and we look at the media center here in the high school, and a library is not a library the way that we have always grown up thinking a library. So there's a whole host of ways in which that space can be used that will support learning as in the decades going forward.
Thank you.
Mary, I will reach out to Kyle tomorrow and ask him to make sure that he reaches out to John to have a conversation about that space.
I think John will have a lot to contribute. I really do.
I'll make that connection.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Ray. The next agenda item is the Situate Sustainability Committee, October 22nd, fall update. Cleanup. So,
Good evening,
hi, Glenn.
Greg.
Greg.
Greg Theot, 3 Mary Green Lane. Carolyn and I had bounced emails back and forth about this. I don't know if you're familiar with the Situate Sustainability Committee and what we do, but it was originally formed to save money for the town, to try and get education into the town. And every time something goes to their recycling facility, it can be rejected and there's a charge to the town. So there's a financial incentive here as well as an environmental incentive. We all know what's going on in the environment and the importance of recycling. So last year I wasn't on the committee at that point. It was just formed in 21. We had first Earth Day cleanup event. This year we had a second one, and it was a success on top of last year's numbers and how many people came and showed up. And we reached out primarily to Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops, churches, got flyers up all over town, and had a pretty successful event. A lot of the people at that event expressed interest in doing a fall cleanup as well. So we thought we would put one together, and we're planning on doing it October 22nd from 9 to 12. So what we're trying to do right now is reach out to committees in the town and get the committees behind the cleanup as well. And I think the school committee personally is probably the most important one. But we start at the youth with these types of things. And oftentimes it's the youth who bring these ideas back home to their parents and grandparents and get them to recycle properly. So I thought I would present to you guys, the opportunity to help us. And again, this is the first time we really approached you and the school system in this way. But how can we get the students involved? Are there community service projects? Are there groups at school? Teacher groups? I don't know, even you guys may be adopting an area. I'm just trying to, do a little bit of brainstorming for this event so we can get some involvement in the schools. If we can put up flyers in the schools or get it on school announcements. I'm open to anything. It's more of a discussion and see, because then we really want to have a bang up event in the next Earth Day in 23. But this is kind of a springboard.
So
to
there's
that.
obviously lots of communications that happen within the schools. I mean, there's emails that go directly to students. There's communications directly to parents. There is a weekly newsletter that goes out to the community. So we definitely can help spread the word. I don't know, Lori, if there's, it's the 22nd, but if there's a flyer or information that you can give to us, we can.
If you send me a flyer, I can make sure that I get it out to all the buildings. They can get it out to all the parents and kids.
Okay.
So just send me the information and I'll get it out to
And
the
we can
buildings.
disseminate it. One thing is, for National Honor Society, students are looking for community service. Is that something that you offer through the program?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, is that part of the flyer as well? But we can also promote that, especially to our secondary students that, that are looking for from hours for community service that like this, and they're dedicated to environmental issues,
Yeah, and we're just working on the flyer right now. We're going to get it out. We're going to put an email blast out through this town email, as well as hang them up
If
around.
you want, you can send it to me, but the superintendent's email is also on the website. And if you get that right out to her, Lori, and I'll be looking for it in each of the newsletters. So not only will we get it out directly to the students, directly to the parents, we'll also make sure that it goes into each of the schools' newsletters. As a reminder to see if we can.
And may I jump on that?
Sure.
So October 22nd, I'm thinking of, combining things. Lori, you're going to love another out of the box. Okay.
But before,
So-
I said, this 22nd is homecoming.
That's what I was about to say.
I was gonna say that too.
And I am part of the homecoming ad hoc planning committee by virtue of my position on the board of Hope Associates. And so my thinking is maybe it's an outdoor event under a tent. Let's make sure that it is, we kind of incorporate the theme represented by the sustainability committee to be mindful of the type of products that the kids are using, not styrofoam, maybe make sure recyclable paper goods, make sure there are stations that we can separate out the food items, the trash items, the recycle. I think there's a way that maybe we could quietly. I just know, Greg, that October
I'll
22nd,
pass it
homecoming.
along to the principal.
Yeah, the kids, I can imagine it's a
But
busy
it
day for
also,
the kids.
it's an opportunity for them to get more knowledgeable and
Right.
engaged in it. So maybe, in the morning they can, what time is the
9
cleanup?
to 12, I think I
Right.
heard.
Yeah.
9 to
and that
12.
So
gives
maybe
them
more
plenty of
our
time to get their
elementary
hair
kids,
done.
maybe more engaged those days than
Yeah.
say our middle school or high schoolers. But I think it presents a great opportunity to kind of incorporate the two, just
Mhm.
knowing that many of our high schoolers probably don't view this as the amount of participation that you may be able to get in the
Mm.
future. Obviously, you didn't pick this date knowing it was homecoming, right? So,
Sure.
but I'm very hopeful that and again, it's a partnership. So I think,
Right.
like Carolyn said, I think it's wonderful. One of the other things that I've often thought, and thank you for being here tonight and being through our entire
I
meeting to
know.
be at
Oh, no problem.
at
I
the
should have put
end.
them up front.
Is there anybody from the school department, the school committee? Are there people and I know it's had different names and it's the Situate Sustainability Committee now, correct?
Yes.
Is there a member? We are the biggest business in town, right? Like, so, and I'm offering, I don't have a lot of time, but I've always thought of that. Like, what can we be doing in our schools? We have different budgets, but we all come from the same town, right? So somebody is paying for what we're not recycling. So is there a way, so to help maybe harness that, kind of bringing it more into the schools as part of that? How often do you guys meet? What a month? Is it monthly?
Generally, yeah, every month. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, but so what do you mean by bringing it into the schools as
Well,
far
and,
as
and just talking about
awareness or-
sustainability, and we're the biggest business around. So we can talk about talking to a lot of different, and again, I see all I enjoy it. There's stuff on Facebook, fun facts. I forget which recyclable, what's not. But what are we doing as a school? We're the biggest we're the biggest business in town. Are we being
Mindful.
as mindful as we can be? And are there ways that your committee, can come back to the school and help, and with coordination with us? I'm not asking you to come here and be our recycling police,
Right.
but what are we doing? Do we have, I started these conversations years ago. Do we have sufficient recycling cans in our cafeterias? Do we have sufficient recycling cans or stations at our sports complexes? Like some of these big things, like we kind of reach a big mass of people through the schools, not necessarily talking about the student population and their engagement with you, but the schools as a whole. Does
Events
that,
and things like that.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something that is being worked on, and it's just in its infancy, but are composting machines that could be put into the schools. I know Jen Rudolph, who's been, she basically is going to school for this, and she's on the committee, has been talking about this type of a possibility down the road here. And I think she's talked to some people in the schools. I don't know who, I wasn't involved with it, but that's something that would be huge, because I don't know if anybody realizes how much food waste goes into the landfills. It's a huge problem.
And you
So-
haven't even seen our middle school cafeteria, right?
Right,
So
no.
imagine, right?
Yeah. And that's why that really excited me when she started talking about that, because that's a huge thing you can attack. I mean, and then obviously, like you mentioned, using different materials as opposed to plastic. Plastic is always the go-to, piece of and everything in society right now. And it's a big problem. You read about it all the time. So absolutely. I mean, anything, that's why I kind of wanted to have this dialogue, because we're excited about it as a group, but we only can reach so much. There's only 6 of us, and like everybody else, like yourselves, we're always busy. But if we could find ways to work with the schools, I think that's probably our biggest opportunity.
Do you have a set date? Is it, do you meet at the third Tuesday of every month? Is it?
Well, but it got screwed up during the summer. So but usually I think it's the first Tuesday,
And are
first
you,
Monday.
so you're considered a public, so your meetings are posted, is that correct?
yeah.
Okay, so that's, I'm going to make every effort to attend your next meeting to
Great.
hear more.
Yeah. That would be
The other
super.
thing is, I know that we talk about, oh, it's homecoming, but one of the things that you mentioned was you're really trying to make sure that the jump to 23 and the event in the spring is really done well. So even if we didn't, just doing this the first time with us, it'll at least get us, acclimated to what it is, what you do, try to get students and parents involved. And then hopefully when you come back in 23 with it, you know, it will be a much bigger, even a bigger success.
Exactly the goal, because
Yeah.
you know, I was just got on in February, and we ran right away into the April event, and
Yeah.
that was only the second one of those we'd had, and then this is the first one we've had in the fall. So it's all a process. So absolutely, that's why I thought it was important. I'm glad you invited me here, because I wanted to talk about this and get you guys on board, because as I agree with you, it's the biggest opportunity we have. The businesses, you know, certainly an opportunity. I haven't thought about the art festival because I've been, you know, volunteering there for years, but doing some recycling event there. But we thought about it too late. I mean, that's one that's a huge event and it's a huge undertaking. And we have somebody who's done it at the zoo on the committee and understands it took them 3 years to get recycling really where it is now at the zoo. And it was a matter, there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done and things like that. So, but we just wanted to get the spark rolling and with this event coming up. So can I use your email, Carolyn, right now to get any feedback, and then you can help me out with anybody else I should contact for?
Yeah, you
whatever.
can, but to be honest with you, the best way to get this thing really moving, because I'm only going to forward it to her.
Okay. So
But do me a favor, copy me so I can make sure that, you know, I can touch base with her just to keep, you know, keep an understanding of where,
okay. Absolutely. Okay.
but you can send it to me too. Thank you.
Fine. All right. I appreciate the time. Any questions or other discussion or?
No, I,
noticed in your email, you mentioned maybe adopt a spot, like adopt an area. Hypothetically, if the school committee adopted an area. I wonder if, when you're starting off with something like this, if you assigned us an area, let's say the North Citrus Elementary playground field, you know, and just gave us a focus of where to go and see how many people would want to show up. I'm not sure. I don't have a clear vision on what your vision is. Like, would it be, let's say if the school committee decided, okay, we'll chip in and we'll work for 3 hours that morning, but like, where do we go and what do we do? And do we go to a central spot? It seemed,
that's a good
too loose
question.
to me.
Logistically, like what is the logistics? Is that going to be part of the flyer that explains where to meet and what, and then at that point, will people be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So last time we met at the community center, we had one in Hope and one at the community center. We felt it was better this time to just focus on the community center. And so in the flyer, it tells everybody to meet there at 9 o'clock. We hand out black plastic bags for trash and clear plastic bags for recycling, and they're good sized bags. And then we assign people areas, either like the Boy Scout troop, I got to do it. Wanted to do up around they did the baseball field and the animal rescue up there. They wanted that, and then they did a hike afterwards. So if you guys wanted a particular field, like a particular baseball field or something like that. The other issue on the 22nd is there's a lot of recreation going on. I was trying to get the recreation committee involved, but there's a lot of events. I guess it's a trophy day and all that. So they said we're pretty busy, which I understand. So, but you know, to your point about adopting an area, like it was one of the fields, or you know, he's at Hopkins Field or something like that, then that would be a good idea as well. And that's why I suggested to the committees, if you do something and you're near and dear to your committee's heart, then yeah, take that area. Otherwise, we can assign hotspots that we know typically have the most, you know, litter and recyclables that are in those particular areas. We have a kind of a pretty good handle on that.
So just for the record, everyone, Earth Day is April 22nd. I know that because it's Maura's birthday. So we're going to mark our calendars going forward. I know a lot of us will be engaged in homecoming things, and maybe we can get there for a little bit, but moving forward, hopefully we can mark our calendars to the 22nd to really be part of something like that.
I like that. That's great.
I really appreciate you coming tonight. I feel badly. I could have put you up further up on the agenda, and
It was
I
an
just didn't
education
think
for
of
me.
it.
I haven't sat through one of these meetings in years. My daughter graduated in 2014. So, so it's
Okay,
good
well,
to see what's
again,
going on.
thank you. Get our superintendent. She'll be all over it. She'll
Great.
get it out to the appropriate people so we can spread the word, and hopefully we'll get a good turnout, but we're really going to focus on the spring.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you for
Okay,
coming.
Take care.
Okay, the final agenda item under new business is discussion action vote regarding a communication for a district progress report. I've asked for that this be put on the agenda because after speaking to some committee members, the superintendent receiving mail, you know, and just, hearing some public comments. And I know that Stephanie spoke to a little bit about the fiscal misinformation that's going on. I think our community has lost sight of the progress that this committee overall has made over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's been tremendous. And so one of the things that I spoke to Lori and John about was when I was working for the Department of Education, there was a State of Education address to the Assembly and the governor, kind of like State of the Union, State of the State, And so, and this Commissioner of Education would get up and it would be televised, and I'm sure you've probably seen them, but really speak to about what was important for them to communicate about what's happening in the public education system. And when I mentioned it, it was brought to my attention that other superintendents are actually doing that annually. So what I would like to propose tonight is for us to adopt like an annual State of Education of Situate. Maybe, it goes out again the month after school starts about what talk about, the opening of school, but to really kind of highlight the work of the committee and the work of our administrators and teachers. And I'd like to start with a progress report that goes out, again, just highlighting, people are going and also it doesn't help that it's, we have politicians out there that are, are trying to make a mark. They're going, things are being heard and said at doors. And, again, through the mail, through, public comment, it's all over the place. And I just want to make sure that the record is set straight about what's been accomplished and what the state of our schools are, but also to make sure that we make everyone understand that it's an ongoing process and we have more work to do. So I have asked the superintendent to draft such a report and to get it out. So I just wanted to have that conversation tonight and to see whether or not the committee thought that that would be a good idea. I think it's, it offers transparency. And again, more importantly, we sometimes get lost, in the shuffle of the town business and everything else. And, as Colleen just mentioned, we're the biggest, we're the biggest business in town we've got the biggest budget. Taxpayers are paying, the biggest bill in town with us, and it would be really helpful for them to really understand what their return on investment is. So I really want to get that report out, and I would like to get it out sooner versus later, especially in light of the current environment that we're having and a lot of the misinformation that's out there.
I thought this was going to be about the kids count because that was on the agenda.
Yeah,
months
no.
ago.
Yeah, we should put that on the agenda. No, but this is that's what this is going to be
So it'll,
about.
it'll involve kids count data in it. Is that what your thought was?
No.
So my other thought is, and I'm just thinking out loud. We just did the evaluation tool for the superintendent, and which I know the superintendent just emailed us her copy, and she how does this dial into all the other asks that we've given the superintendent and her evaluation tool? Is this
I don't think this is a big lift. I think what we need to do is set the record straight in our community,
All right,
especially in light of what's being spread out there and, and a dialogue that seems to be emerging about what's happened over the past years. And I want to remind, if I have to go down the list tonight, I will remind people where we were 5 or 6 years ago. And I want to make sure that that message gets out I want to make sure that they understand what we're doing now. And I want to make sure that the community understands what we still need to do, and we still have work to do.
Is this different than what I know that the high school principal used to do this at open house and like
Oh, this is going to go through the Situate listserv. This is going to go to every one of our
That wasn't what I was
taxpayers.
gonna say.
I'm sorry.
I know that the high school principal used to do a report out, like an annual report, and I
Mhm.
think it's almost required, or that they would always do it at homecoming. Not homecoming, they would do it at open house. But then it got to be where like only 3 or 4 people would come, so they stopped doing it. Is that the type of information in terms of that you're
This is
looking
a
in this
state of
report?
address. This is like a progress report of the state of education in Situate type thing.
So I think, isn't that what the high school principals did every
I don't know,
year?
but this is beyond high school. This is a district-wide progress.
I wasn't sure if
report. Yeah.
other principals did it. I only remember.
Yeah,
high
what
school.
I know at the high school level, and they have stopped it, you're right. I know, like, because it used to be they would present data. And they used to do it at the middle school. I think with the move up night, we used to do it at some point, but
I remember other schools doing it just.
no, it was just those two, and it was just kind of a rehash of putting some
But
test.
don't
score-
you think that that's
but
a
that's-
good idea to
I
like?
do, and I just, so I don't think that's the same thing as far as when we put data out, data should be out, and that should be district-wide, and we, there's, but I think, and Stephanie, if I may, you struck a chord for me tonight, and I could hear the passion in your voice when you were speaking tonight, and I appreciate that. I know there was somebody, well, where's your $1 million? There's $1 million missing. There's this.
Oh, and we have a $200 million, a $2 million surplus.
So, but I just want to just finish this one thought. So I projected it from a committee perspective. And again, people, it's a whisper campaign. It could have said, John Doe won $1 million. Oh, they lost $1 million in the school or whatever it is, but
It is a whisper.
so it's about the committee, it's about the district, but it's also about the individual, like that's your integrity. I didn't view it that way, because that's personally not
That
how
really hit
obviously
home.
any of us feel.
And Jen out there.
No, I'm using this as it's to say that, like, if we had $1 million, we got a problem, right? Like, so thank you for speaking, and you were very professional and eloquent in doing so, but it certainly drove home for me that we need to, no, this isn't true. And there's been a ton of hard work that's been done, specifically fiscally, in the last 6 to 8 months to be where we are. And yes, the audit's behind, but it's behind. This isn't, like you said, this isn't a forensic audit. There isn't money missing. This isn't, so I'm in favor of doing something to showcase the good works that have been done, and to maybe dispel any,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I think,
and-
Erica, when you spoke, you were really concerned too about just a lot of the things, a forensic audit, and you were hearing so many different things yourself about that was just miscommunication. It was factually incorrect. And it was actually that conversation that we had that really prompted me to say, we've got to figure out a way. And I think you said we need to dispel that at the meeting, but I think there's a broader story here that I think we can talk about. And not every single one of us and every single committee before us over the last 5 years has a lot to be proud of, and so I think we should highlight that. And then after the first progress report is done, we can then wrap it into her annual as part of your goals. And I know that, Mary, communication was one of the things that we talked about, which has always been one of your
Yeah.
top priorities.
So right now I'm a little confused.
Okay.
I heard you say, I wrote down state of education address to the town annually.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I just heard you say the first progress report, and then it can be wrapped into the superintendent's annual address. So
Let me clarify.
thank you.
Okay. So I think what I would love to see is that as part of the communications that we talked about that we think is really good, is to make sure that we communicate out to the community, what's the, an update on the schools, what's happening, what is done in the last year. I think the first progress report, though, needs to talk a little bit about the, where we've been and where we are now. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
So are you saying
And then from
quarterly
next, but not-
progress reports? I'm still
let me
confused.
finish. And so it starts this year, which is the first state of education in Situate. And then next year it will just be an annual address at the same time in October.
Why October?
Well,
I think October's, I don't know. I find, honestly, my thinking is if you want to do a state of the address of the state of education in Situate, I'm thinking that would be better placed surrounding when we're trying to get a budget approved. And we want to really highlight all of the good things that have happened and to align it with hey, it's marketing, it's advertising, so that we get the community support for the budget that we are presenting for approval. I just think the timing in October, it's going to get, you know what, people are concerned about the art festival in Situate in October.
So, I agree with that, actually. I think that's a really good idea. I think, again, the timing of that is really important. I know that when it was done, at the state level, it wasn't tied to any kind of it was just like, this is the date that it's happening every year. I do think something needs to go out like in the next few weeks, a couple of weeks, to kind of dispel some of the information and things that are being said about our schools, in the community. But then we can adopt an annual communication around the budget time to give the taxpayers an update on what's happening.
Which I think from a budget committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think, and yes, something more formalized, but there is always, and Mr. Griglovich can probably speak to this as part of the budget committee, there are always highlights that are brought forth to the budget committee,
But
right? Like
yeah.
to show what we've
But it
accomplished.
doesn't go.
No, exactly. But
Yeah.
so I think
I
two
like that
places-
idea, Mary, actually.
It just makes, it makes,
Yeah.
to me, when you say,
Yeah.
this is the state of education address to the Situate community, that has, that's heavy. That's heavy stuff.
Mhm.
And you want that as a standalone with attention on it, minimal distractions. And the impact of that is community. What we want out of that is community support for our budget.
Mhm.
I
I
wouldn't
love
want
it.
it to get buried in October when
And
everyone's
I don't-
head is around the art festival.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think that makes perfect sense. I don't want the town council or the budget committee to think that we're playing games and trying, but I do think that
No, you're putting your best foot forward.
exactly. I
That's
don't
all.
want them to think that, oh, they're trying to,
No, it should have the warts and everything. Like,
Yep,
yeah, here's what we need to work
exactly.
on.
That's what I'm saying. Even
Yes.
like now, if we wanted to send something out and kind of dispel some of the things that we're hearing out there, we need to talk a little bit about, some of the lifts we still have to accomplish, like Cato Field, and so
Who
on.
decides what the topics are?
I think, well, the topics, it's,
Finances and education. Basically.
I just think the topics are going to be, the accomplishments, the things like that, we've put, like, what we talked about with the facilities, what we've done academics, I think to kind of put it around our educators, our academics, our facilities, and our budget. Those are the 4 or 5 big things that we can speak to in athletics.
Yes, I was,
And athletics. So
in student performance.
academics would fall into
Under
student
academic?
performance. Hi, Ray.
Hi. I would just say, I think that it is important for the report to basically justify what you're buying, what the town is buying.
Exactly.
So,
That's why I love what you suggested, Mary.
so to the extent that you are demonstrating student achievement,
Yeah.
you know, the investments in technology, the investments in curriculum. I mean, you're basically justifying what the town has given in the past
Mm-hmm.
and why they should continue to support at the levels that you're asking
Mhm.
for. And I do agree that it should also demonstrate the warts. Where are the holes? Because that obviously goes hand in hand with why the budget needs to address those issues.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out a way to kind of, get out the news and in the information. It doesn't have anything to do with one person. It has to do with the good work of a body.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
this year, because this is the year where we're moving, right?
The 15-month budget to
Correct.
July 1. Yeah.
So
No, the budget that we're submitting will be a 15-month budget. But it's going all the way to 15 months to July 1. So it's moving this year, right? It will be for this budget. It's going to get us to the July 1 in 25. So let me just clarify then, because that's good. So I think we can actually take a vote.
So when would you, like, what month would you want to do this state of the address?
I actually think it's going to go
It'll
before.
change based as
Well,
the,
I think we submit our budget. December or February, you typically. What are your thoughts, Colleen?
I agree with it all, but I'm gonna go back to Stephanie. She's my girl. She's my lady of the evening, I guess. So I think that the information that you sent out tonight needs to go out to our community. They need to know that we're not in fiscal trouble. I'm not saying those same exact words or that same verbiage. If there were teachers up here asking us if we lost $1 million. So yes, our audit is taking longer. So I'm very concerned that misinformation is out there, and maybe it's a communication
Yeah, and that's what you were
from
concerned about too, right?
from
Erica? The fiscal stuff.
yeah, like that's not, so again, as a committee, and again, I don't think it should come from us. I think it should come from possibly Lori and Stephanie with their signatures attached to it. I'm not asking you to attest to, every penny there, but we're not under, you know what I mean? Like there needs to be something out to taxpayers without, I don't know,
So you just want to send something out now to dispel the financial rumors that are out there?
well, that's one of the.
are we responding to social media?
No.
Okay,
No, it's-
because I am not,
I don't do
Of-
social media.
I don't. And that's
there's a
where I'm
couple of
wondering.
There's a couple of Facebook pages that I don't even attend to. I just know that, from what I'm hearing, that people are making comments, and I'm like, what is going on? We have done yeoman's work. We were on the verge of losing our school district, and we've done yeoman's work, CTE programs, curriculum, technology, facilities, budget deficit eliminated. Like, when are we going to tell people this? When are we going to tell people?
And I was solely responding to the last committee meeting and what was said. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. I also wanted to say that it's not an abnormality for an extension in this district or really
that's not a
any.
big deal.
So if that's becoming an issue too, I just want that on record that that hasn't been an abnormality here. So
They're still waiting
nothing's
for
longer
state
than
documents.
it was before.
Perfectly clear in what you stated that this is just par for the course. And last one's posted online. This one will be posted online when it's completed.
So, I'm open to, what? I know. So we're,
So
definitely.
this year, February, we will have a state of education address to dovetail with our submission of the budget. I won't be
Yes.
here. I'll get to listen.
Maybe we'll hire you, or we can't. Maybe you'll volunteer as a.
That's what I'm trying to.
I think we can come back and why don't we get more feedback? Let's talk to Karen and find out, what the timelines are with this new 15-month budget. It wasn't a joke, when we talk about the 3 fiscal years, because we're closing, we're adjusting exactly where we are, because that will be the point of departure for the FY24 budget, which has to start next month. So it's all going to happen, and we've got to be efficient because all departments are going to have to get off the dime and get these budgets completed.
So can we agree in concept, in discussion here? Can we wait until, I'd rather have like a month attached to it instead of saying we'll have a state of education address at some point.
Okay.
I-
And
I- yeah.
okay, so I guess then we don't,
it'll
why
have
don't we
to
put it, do you
change.
want to put it back on the agenda for November?
I
And then
think
we'll
we-
have more information by then as far as the
Yes.
timeline and what we're
Yes.
doing. Okay, and in the meantime, we'll just have Lori develop some communication to go out to dispel some of these rumors that she can send out. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I'll be honest. It wasn't a rumor that Stephanie responded to. It was a gentleman standing here in a public meeting
But I had heard it
making
from
the fact.
but I had
But
heard it from
what I'm
3 other
hearing,
people.
Carolyn,
Yeah.
here is I'm hearing we are responding to rumors. That concerns me. If there was a printed publication, someone sent a letter out, signed their name to it. There's something on social media and people sign their name to it.
There was a printed letter and someone did sign their name
Okay.
to it.
And
Okay.
it went to every single house in
the-
Situate.
Yes,
It,
And
you're
it had
referring to a
misinform-
letter that I received in my home. There's been 2 such letters.
correct.
Okay, now I'm feeling a little
Better.
clearer.
Okay.
Okay, I have to be clear. When you say rumors, I hesitate to respond to a rumor. But
that's
Are we
fair.
talking about correspondence that you want to go out that addresses the fiscal integrity of the district? Is that what we're talking about?
Put some
Okay.
information
So
in there about
Stephanie and
some
I
of the good
We'll
work.
put
Yeah.
together a correspondence that is reflective
That was
of
put on there because of that. Yeah.
what she reported to you tonight.
Yeah, and we
We
can
will
add
both
some
sign it
yeah.
and get it out.
Yeah, we can put some other things there about what we've been doing, but we don't have to, the point is to dispel the misinformation that's being spread out there about, our finances being in disarray. Instead of us celebrating that we've actually put a FMIS system in our system after all these years that is in every single building, Hi, Sin, come on up. What are your thoughts?
Stephanie, thank you for articulating so well and responding to a comment that was really inappropriately made. And I think the more you chase after trying to change people's minds about what they think when there are misperceptions, the more you'll be spending your time and energy doing that. So personally, as a member of the community for a long time, both as an educator and taxpayer still here in Situate, the idea that you think that it would be necessary concerns me. I would hope that you not move forward to spend an enormous amount of time trying to change people's perceptions other than continuing to do the good work that you do. Each month, the superintendent provides a report to the committee and to the community. The people that are concerned about what's happening, either they're listening in on Zoom meetings or they're attending meetings. We're not going to ever dispel what someone's thoughts or ideas are in ways that are going to be satisfactory, right? We're always going to have
Are
people.
you hearing such misinformation too, Cindy?
Misinformation has been part of this community for as long as I've lived here, and it'll continue to be part of this community.
Yeah.
I think the more you chase after trying to address it, rather than acknowledging, as Stephanie did tonight, that the comment that was made was not appropriate. It in fact doesn't really reconcile with what's actually happening. When we think about the things that people say, very often people say things out of a lack of knowledge or a lack of us communicating more clearly. So if we think that we're communicating clearly what our processes are, then we can answer questions about a process, but we don't have to chase after someone's rumor or misperception. I think you get
I
yourself in
just
trouble. if you
worry
do
that, you know, there's households in our town that think that the school department is sitting on this significant surplus.
But don't you think you've adequately said it here at this meeting?
Nobody would have 15 people here and whoever came, our teachers. I mean, we can't seem, that is in the house of everybody in our town. And we're
I think at
not
a
getting it out, Sin. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree
At
with
a
you. I think
political
you're
time-
right. I think
Yeah.
Mary's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what
So
the
a
right
couple of
answer
things.
is.
Having been part of the Commissioners of Education here in Rhode Island State of Union addresses many, many times, the intention of those was always to bring teachers who were acknowledged for being teachers of the year, to celebrate all the things in Rhode Island that we're doing well, because we know that for
Right.
many years, for example, the Providence Journal would say all the things
And
we
that's
weren't
what I
doing well.
want to do.
But no one is ever going to come up against that and do it successfully. All we can do is have a positive reflection on what we are working on and the things that we're doing to try to make change.
I think that's why I wanted to have the report that I had in mind, because it would highlight the successes. It would highlight the important milestones that we've reached. And at the same time, you could clarify some of the things that are being said.
So if you're
and-
thinking about communicating largely to the community, then something that goes to each household is one piece of the way you communicate. Within the district prior to the Lori, at one time, all of the superintendents had a superintendent's newsletter. So it was a way of communicating larger issues.
Mhm.
We know that each school has its either weekly or monthly newsletter, and so that's a way of communicating. We know that unless we are providing vehicles or platforms to communicate information. So something like that maybe has to come at a larger level from the
Yes,
superintendent saying,
yeah.
these are the things that we are working on and doing really well. And as in all processes and all structures and all systems, these are still the things that we're continuing to work on. Parents, this is the way in which we need your support. Community, this is the way we need your support. So really, if this is about a community role in it, we all have our stakeholders in this. We all have roles in this. The superintendent communicating to a larger audience of every resident in the community, whether you have children or not, you're paying taxes
It's
and committed to the
important.
work of the school.
And you know, Sin, you know, there's that good work is getting overshadowed by Cato Field. I mean, there's so many good things that are happening in our classrooms. We have a teacher of the year. You know, we can celebrate this
I think
success.
actually, as a community member, I think that the PR at the high school has increased significantly, people talking about Situate High School. The Facebook posts, when Mike posts his things and when all the
Yes.
schools
The
post their
newsletter's
individual
phenomenal.
things,
Yeah.
newsletters in the individual community. If you ask the members of each school and their community that they're serving most closely, if they're aware of what's happening in the school, they're going to tell you yes.
Mhm.
Principals are doing an amazing job communicating with newsletters, being available to parents, all of those things. What you're speaking to is a larger issue about making sure that a community that's going to vote on a budget in April is going to support a district if they have all these misperceptions happening.
Correct.
So a letter from the superintendent and the school committee signed by both, just indicating that whatever information is being shared there, that you have weekly meetings. I know that Laurie meets with her administrators on a weekly basis. There's communication going on. There's structures and plans in place. So just because people aren't aware of it doesn't mean it isn't happening. But the one thing I would never want you to do is to chase after the
That's why
rumors that are
my
happening.
suggestion of the progress report.
I think
is-
it's just always good, to be very honest with you. We always say that we want to start and celebrate with the things that we're doing well,
Yeah.
but we are accountable for improvement. That's the process. That's just the way it is.
That's
So
right.
it's an honest and authentic piece to reflect on what do we need to do better as a school committee? What do we need to do better as teachers, as parents? We have these conversations all the time because that's part of a reflective process, right? And so that's what you're doing every month. And whether there's 3 people here or 10 people on Zoom, you're communicating to the audience that at that moment in time is showing an investment and an interest in it, right?
Yeah.
And so don't chase after that. the superintendent can certainly communicate to the residents of the town regarding any of those misperceptions and more globally rather than item by item. That's all I would suggest. I would hate to see you spending your time and energy.
Maybe we
Listen,
should
you know
go
that you're
back and
doing,
do something like that, while at the same time, she can weave in some of the clarifications about what Stephanie talked about. What do you
Well,
think?
I do think, Cindy, I think you're, alluded to around budget time.
I think
that
that's a perfect time to be
That's for
perfectly
the
honest
state
with you.
of the
Absolutely.
education in Situate address or letter to the community.
And as a person who's attended the annual meetings for 40 some years, I kind of always wondered why it wasn't a piece of it. Like you sat there or other superintendents have sat there and you're so willing to answer questions if there's a budgetary question, but why not make it a piece of
Well,
the
there's
process?
always- I don't understood it, but there should be an executive summary that goes into the budget from the superintendent.
It would
that
be nice in
talks
those
about-
moments
yeah.
before everyone has the budget sent to their houses. They look at that, they come with their questions. In the years that the school committee has been very generous and kind to, raise the levels. We've stood before you and asked you at budget meetings to raise the amounts of money in various line items, and you've done so with community support. So having a conversation that starts that, I think having it around budget time also gives us the opportunity, to be honest with you, we couldn't do it in October and provide you with student data performance because
Yeah.
we're still awaiting student data
It's
performance.
just unfortunate that, especially around these types of these these cycles when it's
I guess you just
political
have to ask
campaigns
yourself,
going on. and,
right,
you know,
Carolyn, you have to ask yourself the question.
You can't beat it though. It
You're
is
not,
what it
you're
is.
not going to. And so don't entertain it. Do what you do monthly. Continue to provide the superintendent reports. And one suggestion I had made previously is just celebrating something from each school and then looking for more community participation to make the things that we're not
Mhm.
doing as successfully, more successful. The sustainability project that he was talking about. We know Shannon Donovan had mentioned about having composting at schools. That was something that had been previously discussed because we were talked about becoming a green ribbon school in previous conversations. So maybe there's a piece to pick up there.
Mhm.
Anyway, don't chase after the rumors.
Okay, so what are we doing?
I think I asked to table it for next month. And we'll
Okay.
get a better handle on budget committee. And the first address, we can then pin down to a month.
Okay, so we're not going to do anything prior to the budget to dispel any, just to kind of
I think Cindy's suggestion for
the progress report.
Lori's, what Lori's been doing sort of thing. I mean, I remember we tried sending out the school newsletters, trying to send them out to the public. It didn't work.
But this is something different. I mean, we're not talking about what's happening in the high school for the kids and all of that. This is something that, big stuff that's been done in the community with their tax dollars. But it's up to you guys. I mean,
I don't know. I feel that's more appropriate around budget
Mm-hmm.
time. People's interests are heightened in how their tax dollars are being spent. I don't know, that's just how I feel.
I wonder, and I don't know, but I often ask, but because I hear what you're saying, and we did talk about this. Sometimes by responding after having listened to Cindy, you're throwing more fuel on the fire.
well, I think
You're keeping it
responding with
alive.
that, with specifically to the fiscal stuff.
Correct.
But I also heard Cindy say if you're gonna send something out, then send something out that, that highlights the progress and the celebrations of what we've accomplished, while at the same time making sure they understand that there's more work to be done and that, we've got some areas that we need help with. So I don't want to belabor this. It's 9:30 at night. And so I just wanted to put this out there.
I would just offer again, I think around budget time would be more appropriate because then Stephanie could definitively answer in your communication when the audit has been closed out that everything has been found to be above board.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
think that there can't be a more clear statement.
Okay. So we'll bring it up back next month and we'll make a determination on what the timeline is going to be for that communication that will go out to all residents about, about the state of our education here in Situate. Okay, do we have any announcements tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Yes.
I mean, anybody second? All those in favor?